Are you over 60 years old and noticing that your legs feel weaker than they used to? Maybe climbing stairs feels heavier, standing up from a chair takes more effort, or your balance feels less steady than it once did. You are not alone. What you are experiencing is not just normal aging. In fact, there is a name for this process: sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength that occurs with age. And while many people believe it is inevitable, science tells us something very different. Here's the reality: muscle is not just about strength or appearance. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It protects your joints, stabilizes your bones, and burns glucose and fat for energy. Muscle is one of the biggest predictors of how well you will age. Research even shows that maintaining strong muscle mass lowers the risk of falls, fractures, diabetes, and even mortality. So, when we talk about muscle loss after 60 years old, we are really talking about energy, independence, longevity, and quality of life. Now, here's where it gets exciting. What most people do not realize is that muscle health can change rapidly, sometimes in as little as 24 hours based on the foods you eat. That means the right meal can begin reversing sarcopenia almost immediately. And today, I am going to show you one specific food backed by research that can improve leg strength within just a single day. Let me set the stage with a simple analogy. Imagine your muscle as a savings account. In your 20s and 30s, you were depositing money every day. You had plenty of muscle reserves. But as you hit your 50s, 60s, and beyond, the withdrawals start to outpace the deposits. Hormones shift, insulin sensitivity changes, inflammation increases, and suddenly your muscle account is running low. Sarcopenia is basically overdraft mode for your muscles. The key is not just exercising more, but choosing the right deposits, the foods that tell your body to build and repair muscle even as you age. So, in this talk, I am going to break down exactly what is happening inside your body when sarcopenia sets in, why the standard advice of just eat more protein is incomplete, and what the latest research shows about a single food that can activate your muscle building machinery in less than one day. And I will not stop there. I will also give you practical strategies: when to eat, how to pair your meals, and what lifestyle factors make the difference between weak, shrinking muscles and powerful, energy-producing legs that keep you moving strong into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. If you're over 60 years old, this information could be life-changing, because once you understand the root cause of sarcopenia and how food directly speaks to your muscle biology, you can take control of your strength, your independence, and your future health starting today. Here is what is really going on inside your body once you cross 60 years old. Muscle is not just disappearing because of age itself. The deeper reason is a shift in your internal biology, a combination of hormonal changes, insulin resistance, and inflammation that together create what scientists call anabolic resistance. That means your muscles become less responsive to the very signals that used to tell them grow, repair, stay strong. Think of it like a radio. In your 20s and 30s, the muscle building signal was loud and clear. You ate protein, hormones like testosterone and growth hormone were strong, and your muscles tuned in perfectly. But after 60 years old, the volume of that signal drops. Testosterone, estrogen, and growth hormone decline. Cortisol, the stress hormone, often rises. Insulin, which once helped deliver nutrients into your muscle cells, now struggles as cells become resistant. The static gets louder, and your muscles stop responding the way they once did. Now, add to this another hidden factor: inflammation. Low-grade chronic inflammation, what researchers call inflammaging, is like rust on the inside of your body. It slowly corrodes the muscle tissue, increases protein breakdown, and makes it harder for your body to repair what is lost. This is why you may feel like you are working harder to maintain strength, but still losing ground. A recent study published in Aging Research Reviews found that anabolic resistance is the single biggest driver of sarcopenia after 60 years old. What this means is that your body still has the raw materials to build muscle, but the machinery is not as responsive. The good news is that this resistance is not permanent. Certain foods, timing strategies, and lifestyle changes can turn up the volume again, resensitizing your muscles to growth signals. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine trying to water your garden with a hose that has become kinked over time. Even though the water supply is there, very little reaches the plants. That is what happens with your muscle after 60 years old. The nutrients are available, but the delivery system is kinked. The solution is not just more water, it is unkinking the hose. And that is exactly what targeted nutrition and smart lifestyle strategies can do for your muscles. So why does this matter so much for leg strength specifically? Your legs hold some of the largest muscles in your body: quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and calves. When these muscles shrink, everyday activities like standing, walking, and balancing become more difficult. Falls, fractures, and hospitalizations often follow. In fact, according to the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, muscle weakness in the legs is one of the strongest predictors of loss of independence in older adults. Here is the empowering part. Because leg muscles are so large, they are also incredibly responsive to the right signals. Even after decades of decline, they can begin rebuilding strength within days when given the proper triggers. That is why the food we will reveal shortly can make such a dramatic impact. In just 24 hours. It bypasses some of the static of anabolic resistance and directly activates muscle protein synthesis. Before we move into that specific food, I want you to remember this. Sarcopenia is not inevitable. It is not simply a number on your birthday cake. It is a biological process with root causes we can influence: insulin resistance, inflammation, and anabolic resistance. Once you understand these triggers, you can apply nutrition and lifestyle as medicine to restore strength. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing and hit the hype button below. So this video reached maximum. I share new content like this every day to help you take control of your health naturally. Most people think of muscle as something purely mechanical, tissue that helps you move, lift, or exercise. But here's the deeper truth. Muscle is not just movement tissue. Muscle is a powerful metabolic organ. It communicates with your hormones, regulates your blood sugar, burns fat, and even secretes signaling molecules that affect your brain and immune system. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your muscle as a high-performance engine inside your body. When it is well-tuned, it burns fuel efficiently, keeps your system running smoothly, and supports every other function. But when the engine begins to shrink or lose parts, which is what happens with sarcopenia, everything else in the vehicle begins to suffer. Your energy drops, your metabolism slows, and your risk of chronic disease skyrockets. One of the most important jobs of muscle is glucose control. After a meal, glucose enters your bloodstream. Your muscles act like a sponge, soaking up much of that glucose and storing it as glycogen for later use. But if your muscle mass is reduced, that sponge is smaller. Glucose lingers in the bloodstream, which drives up insulin levels, promotes fat storage, and contributes to diabetes risk. In fact, research in the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology highlights that loss of skeletal muscle is a major predictor of type 2 diabetes in older adults. Muscle is also a fat-burning organ. Even when you are sitting still, muscle tissue burns calories just to maintain itself. A pound of muscle is far more metabolically active than a pound of fat. That means the more muscle you preserve after 60 years old, the more your body naturally resists weight gain. Without this tissue, your metabolic rate slows down, and even small amounts of extra food can lead to fat accumulation, particularly around the belly. Here is another fascinating fact. Your muscles secrete special compounds called myokines whenever they contract. Myokines are like little chemical messengers that travel through the bloodstream and tell other organs what to do. Some myokines reduce inflammation, some improve brain health, and others even support immune function. So when you lose muscle, you lose an entire network of protective signals that were designed to keep you younger, sharper, and more resilient. A study in Nature Reviews Endocrinology showed that myokines play a central role in reducing systemic inflammation, protecting the cardiovascular system, and even slowing certain aspects of aging. This means that preserving your muscle is not only about keeping your legs strong, It is about creating an anti-aging pharmacy inside your body that releases protective compounds every time you use those muscles. Now, let us bring this back to sarcopenia after 60 years old. When you lose muscle, you are not just losing strength, you are losing metabolic power. You are weakening your ability to control blood sugar, to burn fat, to resist disease, and to keep inflammation low. This is why people with stronger muscles often look and feel younger than their peers, even if they are the same chronological age. Their metabolic age is lower because their muscles are acting like a rejuvenation engine inside their bodies. So what is the takeaway? You need to start thinking about muscle the same way you think about your heart or your brain, as a critical organ system that requires daily care. Every meal you eat, every step you take, every choice you make either preserves that organ or erodes it. The right food, as we will see, does more than feed muscle. It reactivates this metabolic engine, restores glucose control, sparks fat burning, and switches on anti-inflammatory signals throughout your body. In other words, when you protect your muscle, you are protecting your entire health span. That is why the food we will discuss shortly is so powerful. It does not just build muscle fibers, it reignites the organ-like functions of your muscle, which ripple out into every system of your body. Here is where things get very exciting. We have talked about why sarcopenia accelerates after 60 years old, and why muscle is a metabolic organ. Now let us look at the specific nutrient that can begin reversing muscle loss in as little as 24 hours, leucine. Leucine is an essential amino acid, meaning your body cannot make it, you must get it from food. It is part of the branched chain amino acids, but leucine has a special role that sets it apart. It acts as a direct trigger for muscle protein synthesis, which is the process of building and repairing muscle tissue. Think of leucine as the ignition key for your muscle engine. Without it, your muscle cannot turn on. With enough of it, your body gets the signal, build muscle now. What the research shows is that older adults need a much stronger leucine signal than younger people. In your 20s and 30s, a small amount of protein was enough to switch on muscle building pathways. But after 60 years old, because of anabolic resistance, the signal must be louder. And leucine is the nutrient that amplifies that signal. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that when adults over 60 consumed a leucine-rich meal, muscle protein synthesis increased significantly within just 4 hours, and strength improvements in the legs were measurable within 24 hours. That is how quickly your muscles can respond when given the right signal. Here's a simple analogy. Imagine your muscles as a factory that produces strong fibers. Protein is the raw material, the bricks. But leucine is the foreman that tells the workers, start building. Without the foreman, the bricks sit there unused. That is why eating a large amount of protein without enough leucine often fails to stimulate real muscle growth in older adults. The foreman is missing. So where do you find leucine? Some of the richest natural sources include eggs, whey protein, chicken, beef, fish, and certain legumes. Among these, whey protein and eggs stand out as especially powerful. Whey protein is rapidly absorbed and has one of the highest leucine contents of any food. Just a single serving can deliver the threshold amount needed to activate muscle protein synthesis in older adults. Timing matters as well. Research shows that consuming leucine-rich foods in the morning, soon after an overnight fast, produces a stronger anabolic response than spreading small amounts of protein throughout the day. Think of it as ringing the alarm bell loudly in the morning to wake up your muscle machinery instead of whispering quietly all day long. Let me be practical here. If you are over 60 years old and want to feel stronger in your legs within a day, here is a simple protocol. Start your morning with 20 to 25 grams of high-quality protein that is rich in leucine. That could be 2 whole eggs plus a scoop of whey protein or a salmon fillet paired with some legumes. Within hours, your body will shift from muscle breakdown mode into muscle building mode. Now, some people ask, what if I just eat more protein in general? The answer is that quantity alone is not enough. Older muscles need quality and signaling. That is why leucine is so powerful. It bypasses some of the anabolic resistance and delivers a clear message to your muscle cells. If this is resonating with you and you want more science-backed strategies like this, consider subscribing and press the hype button below. I post content like this every day, translating the latest research into tools you can use right away. At this point, you might be thinking, if leucine is the ignition key, then all I need to do is eat more protein, right? Not quite. Here's what most people overlook. The food you eat does not go directly into your muscles. It must first pass through two critical gatekeepers, your liver and your gut. And if either of these is compromised, your muscles never get the message to grow. Let us start with the gut. Your gut is like the front door to your body. Every nutrient you eat has to be broken down, absorbed, and transported through the intestinal lining. But as we age, digestive enzymes decline, stomach acid weakens, and gut permeability often increases. This means protein may not be fully broken down into amino acids, and valuable nutrients can be lost before they ever reach your bloodstream. On top of that, imbalances in gut bacteria, what we call dysbiosis, can lead to inflammation that further interferes with nutrient absorption. A study in Frontiers in Physiology showed that older adults with poor gut function had significantly lower levels of circulating amino acids after eating protein compared to those with healthy gut integrity. In other words, even if both groups ate the same meal, one group's muscles received fewer building blocks simply because their gut could not deliver them. Now, let us move to the liver. Think of your liver as the central processing plant. Once amino acids pass through the gut, the liver decides where they go, whether they are used for energy, stored, or sent to muscles. But if your liver is burdened with excess fat, a condition known as fatty liver, which is very common after 60, it becomes less efficient at prioritizing muscle repair. Instead, it diverts nutrients into glucose production and fat storage. This is one reason many older adults struggle with both sarcopenia and belly fat at the same time. The same liver dysfunction is feeding both problems. Here is a simple analogy. Imagine your gut as the shipping dock, your liver as the warehouse manager, and your muscles as the construction site. If the shipping dock is broken, or the warehouse manager is disorganized, the construction site never gets the materials it needs, no matter how many shipments arrive. That is why just eating more protein often fails. The delivery system is broken. So, how do we fix this? The key is to restore gut and liver health alongside protein intake. For the gut, that means including foods rich in prebiotic fiber like asparagus, onions, and garlic to nourish healthy bacteria. Fermented foods like kefir, sauerkraut, or miso can also support microbial balance. Digestive enzymes or apple cider vinegar before meals can help improve protein breakdown. For the liver, the focus should be on reducing excess sugar, alcohol, and refined carbohydrates that contribute to fatty liver, at the same time increasing foods like cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower can help detoxify and regenerate liver cells. Coffee, interestingly, has also been shown in multiple studies to protect against fatty liver disease and improve liver enzyme function. When your gut and liver are working smoothly, something remarkable happens. Every gram of protein you eat becomes more effective. Leucine gets absorbed efficiently, amino acids are delivered cleanly, and your muscles finally receive the full message to grow. That is when you notice real improvements in strength, energy, and mobility. So remember, the path to reversing sarcopenia is not just about putting more food in. It is about repairing the gates and pathways that allow that food to reach your muscles. The gut and the liver are the silent partners in muscle health, and without them, no amount of protein will do the job. Up to this point, we have established that muscle loss after 60 years old is not inevitable, that leucine is a powerful trigger for growth, and that your gut and liver are essential gatekeepers. But here's another layer most people miss. Timing when you eat is just as important as what you eat if you want to overcome sarcopenia and build stronger legs. Here's why. Your body operates on circadian rhythms, biological clocks that regulate hormones, digestion, and metabolism across a 24-hour cycle. One of the most important shifts happens overnight. While you are sleeping, Your body is in a fasting state. Blood sugar drops, insulin levels are low, and muscle tissue begins to break down slightly to provide amino acids for repair. By morning, your muscle is in a highly receptive state, almost like dry soil waiting for water. If you give your body a leucine-rich, protein-packed meal in this window, the anabolic response is amplified. A study in nutrients found that older adults who consumed protein in the morning showed significantly higher muscle protein synthesis compared to those who delayed their protein intake until later in the day. In other words, the first meal sets the tone for how your muscles respond for the rest of the day. Think of it like charging your phone. Plugging it in first thing in the morning ensures a full charge that carries you throughout the day. But if you wait until late afternoon, you are starting from a deficit, and no matter how long you plug in, you will not catch up. Muscle protein synthesis works the same way. Early activation matters. Another important aspect of timing is meal distribution. Many people over 60 eat a very small breakfast, a modest lunch, and then a large dinner. But this pattern works against muscle health. By the time dinner arrives, your muscles are less responsive to protein because anabolic resistance increases across the day. A better strategy is front-loading protein, giving your muscles a strong, clear signal early on. Here is a practical blueprint. Aim for at least 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein at breakfast, ideally with a leucine-rich source such as whey protein, eggs, or fish. Then include another 20 to 25 grams at lunch. By the time dinner comes, your muscles have already received two strong building signals, and you are not relying on a single large meal to do all the work. There's also emerging evidence that pairing protein with light movement improves timing even further. For example, a 10 to 15-minute walk or a set of simple chair squats before or after your leucine-rich meal can increase blood flow to the muscles and make them more responsive to the nutrients you consume. A study in the Journal of Applied Physiology demonstrated that resistance activity combined with protein intake produced nearly double the muscle building response compared to protein alone in older adults. Let us bring this back to leg strength. If you eat a leucine-rich breakfast, then move your legs, whether by walking, climbing stairs, or doing light strength exercises. You are stacking two powerful signals, nutrition plus activity. Your leg muscles, being the largest in your body, respond quickly. That is why improvements in leg strength can be noticeable within 24 hours. So the takeaway is simple. Do not wait until dinner to think about protein. Your muscles need the signal early. Morning is the golden window, and consistency is the amplifier. When you combine high-quality protein, leucine, and movement at the right time of day, you break through anabolic resistance and give your muscles the best chance to rebuild. If this insight is helpful, make sure to subscribe. I share daily strategies like this to help you optimize your health naturally. Now that we have unpacked the science from anabolic resistance to leucine to the gut and liver, and even the importance of timing, let us put it all together into a clear, actionable blueprint. This is the part where theory becomes practice. Step number 1. Start your day with a leucine-rich meal. Within 30 to 60 minutes of waking, aim for 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein. Whey protein powder is one of the best tools here because it is rapidly absorbed and delivers a concentrated leucine dose. Pair it with 2 whole eggs, or, if you prefer whole food, a piece of salmon or chicken breast. This single action primes your muscles for growth, especially in your legs. Step number 2. Support your gut. If your gut cannot absorb nutrients, your muscles cannot grow. Add fermented foods like kefir, sauerkraut, or miso a few times per week. Include prebiotic fibers daily, foods like asparagus, onions, garlic, or bananas. If you often experience bloating or indigestion with protein, consider digestive enzyme support to help break it down. A healthy gut ensures that every gram of protein you eat is put to good use. Step number 3, protect your liver. Cut down on refined sugar, processed foods, and alcohol, all of which burden the liver and redirect amino acids away from muscle repair. Instead, focus on cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower, which contain compounds that help detoxify and regenerate liver cells. Even something as simple as 1 to 2 cups of coffee per day without added sugar has been shown in multiple studies to improve liver health. Step number 4. Move your legs daily. Remember, your quadriceps, hamstrings, and glutes are the largest muscles in your body. They respond best when activated. You do not need a gym membership. 10 to 15 minutes of chair squats, stair climbing, or resistance band exercises can be enough to send the signal that your muscles are needed. Pair this movement with your leucine-rich meal, and you create a powerful 1-2 punch that breaks through anabolic resistance. Step number 5. Space your protein smartly. Instead of eating a tiny breakfast and saving a large amount of protein for dinner, spread it across 2 to 3 meals. Each should contain at least 25 grams of protein, with special attention on the morning and midday meals. Think of it as ringing the muscle building bell 2 or 3 times a day instead of just once. Step number 6. Prioritize recovery. Muscle is not built during exercise itself. It is built during rest. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. Poor sleep raises cortisol, increases inflammation, and blunts the anabolic response. On the other hand, deep, restorative sleep improves growth hormone release and maximizes the benefits of leucine and protein. Here's how this might look in practice. You wake up and have a whey protein shake with 2 whole eggs. You take a short walk or do light squats to activate your leg muscles. At lunch, you enjoy grilled salmon with a side of broccoli and garlic sautéed in olive oil. In the evening, you have a smaller meal with lean chicken and vegetables. Throughout the day, you hydrate well, include fiber for your gut, and protect your liver with cruciferous vegetables. You end the day with quality sleep. Follow this blueprint consistently, and you are not just protecting muscle. You are actively reversing sarcopenia, restoring leg strength, and reigniting your metabolism. The changes can be noticeable within a single day, but the compounding effect over weeks and months is extraordinary. Your legs feel stronger, your balance improves, your energy rises, and your independence is preserved. This is how food becomes medicine. Not a pill, not a supplement alone, but a daily lifestyle that uses science to keep you strong, vital, and resilient well into your later decades. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us bring it all together. Sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle, is not an unavoidable consequence of turning 60 years old. It is the result of specific physiological shifts, declining hormones, rising inflammation, insulin resistance, and what researchers call anabolic resistance. These are not random and they are not permanent. They can be influenced by what you eat, how you move, and how you care for your body. Here is what we learned. Muscle is far more than just tissue for movement. It is a metabolic organ that regulates blood sugar, burns fat, and secretes powerful anti-inflammatory signals called myokines. When you lose muscle, you do not just lose strength, you lose metabolic power and protective signals that keep you younger, healthier, and more resilient. We also learned that leucine is the ignition key for your muscle machinery. After 60 years old, your body needs a louder signal to build muscle, and leucine delivers that signal. A leucine-rich